What's going on, everybody? I don't know how to start this. I was almost to say I'm back, even though technically mostly back to doing these sort of videos with Saints and LSU and football and all that, because of course sort of took some time off, but not really time off from recording, as I did of course a vlog on my trip that I went on. I went on a beach vacation with my friends. Probably some of you guys know that because I did a vlog series about it with me and my friends. I was back and forth about it, like back and forth about it if I wanted to do a vlog or if I wanted the vlog or whatever, the trip. But I did, and the series is on my YouTube channel. But we are back, and we're getting closer and closer to the football season. Can't believe, really, we're getting closer to the football season. I'm looking forward to it, both Saints and LSU football season coming up. But sadly, though, for the Saints, of course, yet again, typical Saints fashion, the injury bug is hitting. And it's hitting not the players you want it to hit. Not want it to hit. Of course, we're going to be going over that. Of course, that's with the injury news that has now happened over the past few days with some of the few key players that have happened. That, of course, is on the injury list a little bit for the team. So yeah, so with that, that's of course we'll be talking about in this video, and some other stuff also that is going on today that was announced today of me recording this video. Now, before we get into the video, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button and notification bell here on the BrewCrew channel, as of course I do football content like this with the Saints and LSU, and some wrestling content as well, which I am going to try to get back into recording and all that as we get closer to the football season. I'm going to try my best in a weird situation right now that I'm in, outside of recording, but again, I'm gonna try my best to try to get videos out, especially for the football season for Saints and LSU, and try my best with the wrestling content as well. But with that being said, let's go straight into the video. And just to say this, it's not a good look for the Saints. It's not a good look for the Saints. So sorry about that. Trying to fix my camera and all that. Looked a little weird there. Probably because I was trying to do a standing. Anyway, let's just get right in the video. So sorry about that. What was I about to say? I don't know. Oh, the injury stuff. So, injury bug is hitting. Of course, we know the big injury, really the first, was the injury reserve for Brian Brzee. But I think the second biggest one was Cam Jordan. I didn't really talk about it much. Cam Jordan, I think, also is dealing with a hamstring issue and will probably miss the first probably few weeks as well. But the biggest injury that happened was, of course, Jordan Tyson. Jordan Tyson potentially is expected, or is potentially told and shown, will be out for 2 months with a hamstring injury, missing a good chunk of the first half of his rookie season. Well, if that wouldn't have been any worse, literally, I believe the next day we get the news that apparently alvinkamara sprained his MCL. Not too bad enough for him, but still is any injury to have him not be able to play for the first few weeks of the season, almost up to a month. The first month of the regular season, up to at least a month, still missing the first few weeks of the regular season. So it's definitely not going to be great. As well. Also, apparently we had other injuries that I didn't know also happened. Apparently Quincy Riley is dealing with a groin injury and also potentially missed the first few weeks of the regular season. And apparently Audric Estime, one of the backup running backs, is also going to miss time with an injury as well, potentially, and is going to be questionable for the regular season. But I do want to say, with all of this, we still have some really talented players on this offense and defense as well that could potentially, and hope and praying that they stay healthy for this regular season and even stay in the season. I mean, most of all with running back, really, of course, the Estime injury is not that big. And the Kamara injury, of course, he has to be big because, of course, he's the legendary player. It doesn't really put a damper on the running back room, because we still have a pretty good, solid running back room, which, of course, we have Travis Etienne, who we grabbed in free agency, who potentially looks like will be the #1 back for the first few weeks of the season, maybe of the season entirely, depending on what they do with Alvin Kamara when he comes back. And then potentially, it mostly just revolves of who's going to be the backup and the third string running back. Well, most importantly, I believe the two running backs who are going to be in the backfield with Etienne is definitely going to be the return of Keandre Miller, and of course the second-year man Devin Neal. Now, Devin Neal did ball out in his playing time last year as a rookie, and Keandre Miller did also ball out a little bit as well in his playing time last season, but sadly, of course, I believe it was a season-ending knee injury that had him out for the rest of the year, as Keandre Miller was the number one back after alvinkamara was also injured and missed valuable playing time in the regular season. And Devin Neal did actually miss the final few weeks of the season, also dealing with an injury. But like I said before, during the games he played, he definitely balled out, and definitely could have a chance to continue that with him sharing the backfield with Keandre Miller and, of course, Travis Etienne. Don't know if he'll have the same amount of playing time as he did when he was a rookie, but with him being a third stringer, especially for the first few weeks, definitely would like to see how the Saints utilize him, especially Keandre Miller, who probably is in his last year of trying to prove himself to stay on this roster, despite, yes, a deep running back room, and especially, of course, the addition of Travis Etienne, depending on what happens with Alvin Kamara after this season, and even, of course, in the seasons in the future, depending on if he is going to potentially continue, because we don't know how much longer he has left in the tank as well. But, of course, we'll have to wait and see how this season goes and how potentially the next few seasons go if he stays with the team. So really, this is sort of a prove-it year for Keandre Miller if he wants to try to stay on this team to be a reliable team player back for this team, and which I think he can. He, again, like I said before, balled out in the games that he played in last season before he got injured, and he's a very talented running back, especially when we drafted him, and the sky is definitely the limit for him, and definitely potentially might have a bright future ahead of him in the NFL if he can stay healthy. Definitely for sure. So running back is not really too bad. And neither is really wide receiver with, of course, the Jordan Tyson situation. Now, I do want to say the cornerback situation was definitely also shocking to me. Defensive line as well. We've got some players who are balling out in the preseason and training camp and all that. And really in the cornerback situation, even though, yes, it does suck that Quincy Riley is going to potentially miss the first few weeks, we still have a pretty good loaded cornerback room. You got Cooley McKinstry, and then, of course, you also have Blackman and you have Reed, two veterans who definitely will be your probably other starting cornerbacks or rotational cornerbacks as well. And we have other solid, great defensive backs like, of course, Jonas Sanker, who is also healthy as well, who is healthy and definitely is coming into the season with a potential big second year with some pretty high hopes riding around him. And we do also still have Jordan Howden, who's always been a solid backup type defensive back, so definitely you could probably see him get a lot of reps as well in the first few weeks of the season while Quincy Riley is trying to heal from his injury. But Kellen Moore has actually said with his injury, and I believe also with Audric Esteme's injuries, it mostly just sees that they might be questionable just for the week 1 game. It doesn't really show that they're going to be out for like a month or two, or that he says, but they're mostly going to have to just kind of see how they look going into that first week and going into the beginning of the season. For those particular players. But the main, of course, thing really is the Jordan Tyson situation. Now, even though, yes, with Jordan Tyson being injured, I've definitely been saying this is a really stacked and really big, really sort of stacked wide receiver room, because, of course, you have other two young rookie wide receivers in Barian Brown and Bryce Lance, who, yes, will probably mostly be special teams guys, but both have been balling out and have been very productive in training camps, and even a little bit in the preseasons. But there's also been the breakout star of Bub Means, who had a breakout game in the first preseason game with 4 catches and 77 yards, and has continued to ball out in training camp, even going into this next preseason game, even balled out in the joint practice with Dallas. Which was definitely great to see. So potentially Bub Means, if he continues the success that he's doing and the growth he is having in training camp and even in the preseason games, could see him get in the final roster and probably maybe be that number 3, maybe number 4 receiver. But of course, a receiver that I'm not really seeing a lot of people talk about, and I haven't really seen much about as well, is Trey Palmer. If you guys remember, I did a video a while back earlier this year, this was also before the NFL draft, talking about Trey Palmer being an X factor. It was because I saw a post on Instagram that even called him Trey Palmer an X factor, and I sort of agreed with them. And I sort of agreed, especially with Trey Palmer coming off a season where he missed all of last season, just like Bub Means, as who is coming into a very important year for him as well. So both are coming into really important years, and with Jordan Tyson being out for a while, it's definitely a good look for Palmer and Means, who could potentially come in and try to be valuable players, because we already know the number 1 and number 2 receivers are going to be Chris Olave and now Devon Vele, since Tyson is out, because it was going to be Tyson and Olave as your 1 and 2, and then at that number 3 slot position sort of was mostly going to be Devon Vele, and then probably whoever else if they did some sort of switch around. Some sort of switch around with whatever they're going to do for their offense. But really, actually today, or either yesterday or today, I actually saw that the Saints actually ended up bringing two free agent wide receivers, Chase Claypool and Josh Reynolds, to work out to potentially add depth to the wide receiver room, which honestly, in my opinion, definitely, of course, is sort of questionable, because you already have a really big stacked and almost a deep wide receiver room, and it's kind of questionable of why you want to try to bring in 2 wide receivers like Chase Claypool and Josh Reynolds, especially with one of the receivers in Chase Claypool, who hasn't played it down, I think, down or even started a game since 2023. Now, really, to quickly go over both of the players, Chase Claypool was drafted in 2020 by the Pittsburgh Steelers in the 2nd round, and he actually had a breakout rookie season in 2020 with over 800 yards and 9 touchdowns, and was a big part of a really good 2020 season for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He had another pretty solid season in 2021 with over 800 yards again, but only 2 touchdowns this time. But after a forgettable 2022 season, which actually saw him be traded mid-season to the Chicago Bears, where he didn't really do much with them as well, and only 3 games as a starter for them. 2023 was his last year, where he split time with Chicago and then Miami, only appearing in a total of 12 games in 2023, catching only 8 passes and 1 touchdown. That was with the Chicago Bears. So at this point, he only has spent 4 years, but it's been 3 seasons since he's actually been a starter. Now, I think he's actually bumped around practice squads and has appeared in some preseason stuff, but he hasn't played a single down of regular season ball since 2023. So honestly enough, out of these 2, if they try to choose the 2, I think you go Josh Reynolds, who is the more experienced. Josh Reynolds was drafted by the Rams back in 2017 in the 4th round, and was mostly a forgettable starter for the Rams, but he did have a breakout year in 2020, where he did eclipse over 600 yards and 52 receptions. But he moved on to Tennessee in 2021, but then was traded to Denver in the middle of the 2021 season, where he actually broke out in the 5 games he started with over 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. And he became a pretty integral part of a pretty solid wide receiver room that the Detroit Lions had in 2022 and 2023. Specifically, 2023 was his best in career year with 40 receptions, 608 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Sadly, however, he would actually move on from Detroit after that 2023 season, moving on to Denver, where he had a disappointing stint with them, then being traded that same year to Jacksonville, and finished off this last season in 2025 being a member of the Jets, only appearing in 5 games and starting in 3 of them. So yes, for Josh Reynolds, even though he is the more of the veteran type receiver, as he's been in the league for 9 years and really is kind of past maybe his prime, as his prime was in his 2 seasons with Detroit, where he was a solid number 3, number 4 option. Honestly enough, he's probably your best bet, but at the same time, neither of these guys you don't really need, because like I said before, you already have a deep wide receiver room with guys like Trey Palmer, Ronnie Bell, Mason Tipton, which I don't know if he's back healthy though, but you also have Bub Means, who's of course balling out and hopefully continues to ball out the rest of this preseason. And then you already have 2 rookie receivers who are also balling out in training camp. So really, it is a confusing move for them to try to bring in these 2 veteran receivers, especially one of them One of them not even been a part of a team, or not even been a part of a team, but hasn't even played or even started a single regular season game since 2023. And then, of course, you have an actual veteran who really has fallen off ever since after his 2023 season with Detroit, and has mostly been a journeyman receiver, where he only appeared in 5, like I said before, appeared in 5 games in 2025. But honestly, if they try to choose between the two, maybe. But this also doesn't mean they're officially a part of the team. They're mostly just working out with the team. They might appear in the preseason games, but there is mostly probably low chances, but maybe high chances as well, depending on how well they do in the preseason, that these two players probably won't make the final roster or even make the team. But then again, we'll just have to wait and see. All right, so sorry for that little pause there. Was talking too much, so I had to do a little pause. But I think I'm going to go ahead and end off the video here at this point. I think I kind of went over everything that I talked about. Like I said before, it's been a while since I did a video like this. I'm pretty sure the last video I did like this, talking about like the actual content that I talk about on this channel, not just doing vlogs, was I believe a Saints video that I did a while back. Or no, it was the LSU video I think that I did a while back. And speaking of LSU, there was definitely, of course, a lot of stuff that happened with them, with the whole Jaden Daniels situation that happened over a jersey. And to really just go ahead and say that, because that probably should be a whole thing to talk about in a whole different video that I might try to do that on the line, but I don't know. I think it's stupid that everything that's going on with that is just all over a number. You know, like, it's a number, dude. I understand if it's sentimental to you, or if you were promised that no one was ever going to wear it. You were just promised, dude. And you were promised by a former head coach, which was Brian Kelly. Lane Kiffin probably knew about the promise, but he wanted to keep the promise that DJ Pickett was given when he was coming into a recruit, which was one of the big reasons why he was coming into play at LSU, so he could wear the number 5. Not only just that, but yes, other things as well. So you can have your own opinions about it, but to me personally, just continuing to see everything that's going on and the continuation of it, I think it's just stupid that all of this is going on over a stupid number, over a number. Okay, over a number. Now, technically, Jaden Daniels doesn't freaking own the number. The number is technically still owned by the program. It's not retired. It's not hanging up in the rafters or anything like that, specifically retired. It's still up for grabs. Okay? And of course, there's the comparison thing with Joe Burrow, and I'm like, to be honest with you, I'm pretty sure if someone came in and asked if they could wear number 9, I'm pretty sure LSU would say no. Because Joe Burrow had a much better season than Jaden Daniels overall, not just as a player, but overall, because he won a freaking national title and Jaden Daniels didn't even play in his bowl game. Again, no offense to Jaden Daniels, who had a spectacular season. It's just around him that nothing was capitalized off of it. They didn't make a playoff run. They didn't make a conference title. They didn't do anything. And Jaden Daniels still went on to win the Heisman, okay? And I can understand that. But you guys can let me know y'all's thoughts about that in the comments down below. But I did kind of want to mention that in this video because I know that was something that was going on while I was away and on my beach trip, and I didn't really mention a lot in my vlogs. I didn't really mention a lot of football stuff that was going on in my vlogs, so probably should have, but I just decided not to. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and end it off here. Let me know y'all's thoughts in the comments down below with everything that happened in the video, and maybe yes, y'all can let me know y'all's thoughts on the situation with Jaden Daniels and all that. Definitely would appreciate that. And if you guys made it all the way to the point of the video, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy the video, you guys know what to do. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell for future upcoming videos here on the BrewCrew channel. And with that being said, I hope you guys have an amazing, wonderful day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.